You're locked into Hits 92.3. The views, stories, and opinions shared on this program belong solely to the host and their guests. They do not represent the views of Hits 92.3 Radio, management, staff, partners, advertisers, parent companies, or affiliates. And if you don't know what any of that means, listener discretion is advised. Now sit back, turn up your volumes, and enjoy the content from one of the greatest, dopest radio personalities to ever touch this microphone in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome everyone to the King Raphael Show. I am your host, King Raphael, where elevation is the expectation. I hope everybody's having an amazing Memorial Day weekend. I know the rain kind of had us down a little bit, but we still turned up. If you're my friends, definitely check my story. We had a really good time. We had a couple of birthdays this week from a couple of good friends of mine. Deshaun Marks, what's up? Happy birthday. Sharon, what's up, Queen? Happy birthday. I really enjoyed y'all. Thank y'all for inviting me out. We definitely share some new memories. All right, y'all. Today, we're going to get into it. Y'all already know I like to make these comparisons and these analogies. Today, we're going to be basically talking about Monopoly. We're going to be talking about how to win the game of Monopoly, right? And how to buy freedom, okay? A lot of times we put our money into things that are not freedom. We definitely put our money into pleasure, right? But we don't put our money into purpose. We put our money into fast food and not freedom. We put our money into all these other things, sometimes wasting our funds and our precious time. But today, I'm going to talk to you about how to roll the dice and win the game. 7 and 11 every time, okay? We all about strategy. We're all about elevation here. So thank y'all for listening in, tuning in, and even being patient, okay? So let me share this with y'all. Somewhere, some man woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning and he went to work to go build another man's dream. And somewhere else, another man woke up at the same exact time, but he made money in his sleep. You see, it's the same 24 hours, but two different mindsets. You see, one person was taught to work for money while the other learned how to make money work for him. And that's the difference, y'all. That's the difference that actually changes bloodlines. So tonight we're exposing one of the biggest secrets hidden in plain sight, that life is nothing more than a game of Monopoly. And the people winning the game, they understand something. You know what they understand? They understand this, y'all. They not on the board just to look rich. The whole goal of them being on the board is, guess what? To own the board. They're trying to own every single thing on this board. While many of us playing, many of us stunting, trying to look rich when actually we're not. Okay? So, because financial freedom is not bought with labor alone, freedom is bought through ownership. It's bought through stocks. Freedom is bought through real estate. Freedom is bought through business. Freedom is bought through cash flowing assets. Systems that you put in place. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? There's a quote that I really, really like by Warren Buffett. He said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Somebody tell me that's not the truth. If you don't find a way to make money in your sleep, then you'll work until you die. That's facts all day long. You see, if you don't make money work for you, guess what? It's going to go deuces. Your time is going to go, right? You're going to sacrifice your king, as we talked about last week. So tonight, we're talking about how to stop surviving and start acquiring. You see, it's not just motivation. This is strategy for your freedom. So tonight's episode, we're talking about how to buy freedom, okay? And trust me, after tonight, you're either going to change your mindset or you're going to stay trapped in that property you've probably been renting since forever, right? But why are most of us trapped renting somebody else's property anyway? Because the truth is, the Bible says a good man leaves his inheritance for his children. And I'm a King James version that one up. A righteous man will leave an inheritance for his seed. You see, this is your rightful duty. It's the bare minimums. Why do our children inherit nothing? Why, when we die, they inherit debt? And why, when we die, they only get dust? We have to change this, my people. We have to move differently. So remember, a good man will leave an inheritance for his children. That's Proverbs 13:22. You see, not just money, systems. Leave land, leave a business, leave something. Leave some wisdom behind to your children so that they can at least continue your legacy. You see, if you don't make money work for you, you will always work for it. And that's how this works. And that's what the rich understand. You see, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is the servant to the lender. And that comes from Proverbs 22, verse 7. Now, y'all see, even the Bible is talking about economic slavery versus ownership. Now, who wants to be a servant to the lender? I don't. And I'm dang sure thinking you don't want to be either. But unfortunately, we all have. And we all have been. That's why I'm giving you keys to the system, y'all. We're going to break out of this matrix, out of this trap. You see, the Bible verse perfectly supports building multiple streams of income. I even ran across a verse where it says, divide your portion among 7 or 8, for you do not know what disaster will befall the land. That comes from Ecclesiastes 11, verse 2. Now, the NIV version will say it like this, so I can bring it into you clear. It says, invest in 7 ventures. Yes, in 8, because you don't know what disaster may come on the land. Yes, that sounds almost identical to diversification and advanced from modern investors. So you don't know what's going to happen. That's why when you go to work, when you go to your job, you work your job by day, but also you got to work your dreams by night. Or better yet, you work your dreams even before you go to your job so you can give your dreams the best part of your energy, the best part of your focus, the best part of your sharpness. Right? Give God your best first, then your job, right? And then if you need to come back home with your family, give them your best, whatever you have, and then get back to your dreams because God got something for you, something to remove you away from the rut that you've been in. And I speak this way because I've been in it myself. That's why I speak with so much conviction, so much passion about it, because I know what it feels like. Trust me, I know. I know what a storm feels like. I know what financial attack feels like. I swear sometimes it seems like when you just getting out of a storm, you're about to go in another one. I know what it feels like. You see, the truth is, even the Bible teaches multiplication over stagnation. The kingdom mindset was never just about working harder. It was always about stewarding, wisely multiplying, fruitfully, and building increase that outlives your labor. What have you worked on today that will outlast you? You think about that question. What have you worked on today that will survive you when you're gone? That your children can enjoy? You think about that. You see, God never intended for our entire life to be spent surviving. He intended you to thrive. He intended you to multiply. He intended you to live this life and live it abundantly. He intended for you to rule and reign and not be confined by things that drain your life force energy from your soul. This is why your job is keeping you spiritually broke. I hope I'm not offending anybody out there, but it's the truth. And a job will only pay you just enough money to keep you coming back, but not enough for you to quit. And that sounds like a trap to me. You see, God never intended this. Never. He intended us to be going outside, being in the rain, walking in the sunshine, grounded, not worrying about a bill every single 30 days, not worrying about the bank may take my house, because even after I paid it off for 30 years, I still got to pay the property tax or they'll take my house. But didn't they tax the check that I got? So you mean to tell me every payment that you tax my money, and then when I still pay y'all tax, I'm never done paying tax? God didn't intend it this way. I swear if they could tax the air, they would. That's why most of us buy our water now, and water's free. You see, it's a deep game we in, y'all. This is deep. I just want us to think deeper, y'all. I really do. And let me tell you something. This is like Monopoly. Anybody sat around the house with their parents or their family and played the game of Monopoly and roll the dice, and you get around the board, you get that $200 and you land on property and you buy it. Anybody ever sat and played that game? You see, well, you'll understand what I'm about to tell you right now. As we try to make money work for us, you'll spend your whole life rolling the dice, continuously pass and go, staying at other people's properties, taking chances, and trying not to go directly to jail. All right, y'all know what I'm talking about. You see, every lap around the board, that is another year, another paycheck, and when you get $200 when you pass go, right, that's your paycheck. That's also another opportunity, because when you pass go in the game of Monopoly, $200 is enough to buy some cheaper properties, right? To get you in the game, right? So that people can land on your property and pay you. But the goal was never just about collecting $200 from go. The goal was about ownership. Because eventually somebody owns all the railroads, right? Somebody owns Park Place. Somebody owns Boardwalk, which you were trying to get. And then all of a sudden, here come these hotels. Now you got to pay $2,000 to stay there. Once before it was $50 or $100. Now you got to pay all kind of money, right? Because they've upgraded their property. And you got a whole bunch of money from passing go and stacking money, but you didn't invest it in your future to buy your freedom. Now, every time you stop somewhere and land somewhere, you got to pay to stay. Y'all get that? Everywhere you land, it costs you. And that's the same principle in this life. Every bill, every telephone subscription, every TV streaming subscription, it is costing you. Every time you get low on gas and you got to fill up your tank, it is costing you. Right? That is life. And it's the same way in Monopoly. Every month, people land on somebody's property or their own. They got to pay somebody else rent. They got to pay car payments. They got to pay credit cards, right? Got to pay their insurance. It's so much debt involved with this life, and not realizing what we're supposed to be doing is spending our checks to buy some type of asset, because the true formula is assets equal income. I'm going to say it again, people. Assets equal income. This is how you survive in this life. This is how you get by. This is how you make money while you sleep. Because every property, every stock, every business, every asset becomes another square on your board producing income. And that's powerful. You see, in Monopoly, once you own property, and you begin funding your lifestyle every time they land on your investment, right? And that's exactly how real life works. Every time somebody rents your property, uses your platform, buys your company, streams your content, invest in something that you own, the board starts paying you back instead of you always paying the board. That's why the rich focus on acquisitions. Okay? You understand this, and you will be far along from everybody else. You see, poor people celebrate paydays, and wealthy people celebrate purchases. Woo. Woo. Y'all caught that? Y'all listen to the King Raphael Show. I'm here to shake you up and rattle your mind. This is why elevation is the expectation. We'll be right back on how to win the Monopoly of life.
Hey, the secret's out. Hits 92.3 is now accepting submissions for brand new shows. That's right, you could become a radio personality right here on Hits 92.3, the real definition of internet radio. You don't have experience? That's okay. You don't live in Georgia? That's okay. You don't know what to do now? Now that's not okay. But your girl is here to help you out. Email us today at hits923newshow@gmail.com and tell us about your potential show with Hits. Again, that email address is hits923newshow@gmail.com. Don't be last. The slots are filling fast.
Hi, I'm Professor G, the Airbnb King. When I first started my Airbnb business in 2019, I made a lot of mistakes. I really needed a mentor, but one mistake I didn't make was giving up. And since I didn't give up, 18 months later, I cleared my first six-figure income, which allowed me to quit my lucrative job as being a college professor at Spelman College and do this full time, and I never looked back. Since then, I've acquired properties in Atlanta, such as downtown, Midtown, Buckhead, even moved over to the West End, became the Airbnb King, got more confidence, started buying properties in Miami. Ever since then, I knew skies was the limit and Monopoly was the game for me. So believe in yourself. You will and you can win at this game. Book with the Airbnb King. We're gonna make some silent moves, but loud results. Joining my BNB Wealth Academy, feel free to email me at thekingrafaelshow@gmail.com. Email me at thekingrafaelshow@gmail.com. Let me know if you're interested in the academy. It's all digital. Hey, we're going live, y'all. And also you can get mentorship and coaching so that we can help each other strategize and prepare. But always remember, just like the commercial said, we're going to make some loud moves. All right. Some quiet moves, silent moves with loud results. Okay. Speaking of that, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, all who have ears, listen. All who have eyes, you better see. You better see what's going on right now. You see, the truth is the wealthiest elite in this country did not become wealthy because they worked the hardest. See, we've been taught that hard work pays off, right? We've been taught to go to college, get a good degree, work hard, it will pay off, right? Meanwhile, somebody making money in their sleep. You see, they became wealthy for one reason why. They understood ownership. See, we're under a different mindset. We're under employee work mindset, while the wealthy are under an ownership mindset. And that's the difference. The average person thinks, how much money can I make? Now, the wealthy thinks, what can I own that continues to produce money? Now, that's a completely different game. You see, poor people often focus on income. They focus on different things, while wealthy people focus on assets. Income stops when you stop working. Assets continue producing. That's why wealthy spends decades buying ownership. They buy businesses that they use every single day, such as insurance companies, banks, food brands, transportation, technology. The list goes on and on, but there's so many industries that you can own or have ownership in. You don't even have to be the majority owner. See, a lot of times we think owning assets means that you got to own the whole thing. Nah, we're going to get into it today. We're going to get into portfolios, y'all. We're going to understand this a little bit better. See, because wealthy people understand a certain powerful principle I want to share with you. If millions of people are going to spend money anyway, why not be a part of where the money flows instead of where the money is going out? See, a lot of us are just the ones that spending money every day, right? Instead of the money coming your way. And that's how you win the monopoly of life. Let me share a story about the janitor and the CEO. There's a famous story about this janitor who quietly became a millionaire, not because he earned a huge salary, not because he hit the lottery, but because every month he consistently bought stocks. While other people spend money trying to look successful, he bought ownership. Years passed. Most people around him stayed broke despite even making more money. Why? Because they increased their spending every time they got paid more. But the janitor increased his ownership, and eventually his money began producing more money than his labor ever could. And that's the hidden power of acquisition. And the reason why, y'all, his money started making more money than his labor ever could, because he kept buying assets. And then it compounded, it became compounding interest. And that's one of the secrets of the wealthy. You must understand compounding interest. It may start off small. Imagine a snowball. It's like owning dividend stocks. You have a small snowball, and every quarter, when the dividends pays you, every quarter, it may not look like much, but if you just take that dividends and recycle it back to rebuy itself again, your snowball gets bigger. 10 years down the line, it's much bigger. 20 years down the line, it's huge. And every time it's compounding at that point, your dividends are larger, your returns are larger. And this is how you win. So, this is why the moral of that story is freedom does not belong to the highest spender. Freedom begins and belongs to the highest owner. And all I keep trying to tell y'all is we have to become owners. Too many of us on this board of Monopoly just rolling around, just, pulling community chess and taking chances instead of not doing enough owning. But that's because we're saving our money or we're waiting for the right time. Always remember, it's never going to be the right time. So play wisely, but too many people are saving their money. Remember, that's called protecting your queen, right? And leaving the king wide open. But when you make money, that opens up your king because making money buys you more time. Remember, the queen is your money and the king is your time, just like in chess. So now I want to get real practical with you because I hear the word wealth. And like other people, we think it's complicated, like it's something to it. I'm about to pay a whole lot of taxes, or maybe I'm not prepared for wealth. Let me tell you, winning Monopoly starts with understanding what actually buys freedom. So I'm going to give you some examples here. And some of these examples I actually do myself, such as stocks, which is number one. Stock market really buys you freedom. When you buy stocks, you're buying ownership. So remember I told you, you don't have to own the whole company. You can own a piece of the company. See, that piece helps you to generate money. And the wealth and the wealth, they believe that's long term. Excuse me, that threw me off that phone call. So when you're in the stock market, a lot of times people think it's gambling. Well, it can be, but you have an opportunity here to make an educated decision. And the one thing I love about the stock market is you're not really losing until you sell, right? So that means even if your position is down, you have an opportunity for it to come all the way back up. So I'm in a stock right now that was it went down. Well, let me say this. It was up. I play it like a roller coaster because it's a penny stock. VHMG. Y'all put it out there. Get it. I played it like a roller coaster. When it went up, I sold half of it. And I sold half of it, pocket the money that I earned. I sold, put in about $3,000 in my pocket, use another thousand of those sales to buy more stocks. That's like planting more seeds. And then guess what? The stock dipped. The stock went down. So it's been down for a while. So guess what I did? While it was down, I bought more. So you sell when it's high and you buy more when it's low. So I bought more stocks when it was low. And guess what? Today it shot right back up to the point to where I bought it at. So now it's back up. And just that one stock alone today, y'all, I made $1,000 just in one stock that I didn't have to work for. Now, how many hours? And I'm not bragging or boasting, I'm teaching here. And I'm only teaching through my experiences. Now, how many hours do people have to work, or how many days of the week do they have to work to earn $1,000? When I made it today without working. And that's just one position. So when I'm telling you stocks, owning stocks can really help change the trajectory of your life. Y'all, it's like imagine owning shares in a company that the world depends on, such as Coca-Cola, right? Or, everybody drinks Coke or everybody wears Nike, right? The things that you know about. There's a lot of stocks out here, McDonald's, that pays dividends. And you can make money and live and get money from the dividends alone. Everybody buys groceries, right? Everybody uses credit cards. That's why getting stocks in American Express is real good, right? Shopping online. You might want to invest in Amazon. That's one of the big ones, right? Netflix, one of the big ones. Everybody's watching television, right? So it's a lot of ways to make money out here. And the wealthy ask, how do I become an owner instead of just a consumer? Y'all got that? How to become an owner instead of just a consumer. Now, that mindset is what changes everything because consumers spend money once, owners get paid repeatedly. So, like I said, when you spend your money, y'all, that money's gone. But if you buy an asset, your money comes back to you over and over and over again. Then you can buy what you need to buy. But don't buy what you want to buy first. Don't buy that pleasure item first. Buy that asset first. Number two, as y'all know me as the Airbnb king. So I'm going to encourage you to buy real estate. Real estate is literally monopoly in real life. That's all Monopoly is trying to show you. Buy properties, rent them out. If you can get a hotel, get that hotel. All of these things equal cash flow. Because one thing I promise you, I don't care if it's good times, war times, bad times, or COVID. Somebody is going to need a place to stay. Now, one of the things, if you can get into affordable housing, guess what? You can get grants for that because the government needs places for people to stay and different types of people. They need places for their veterans, they need places for their homeless. And if you find a property or you need to build one, you may want to look into that route. And the government will assist, if not pay for almost everything. But see, these things we don't know about because they never taught us this in school. Yes, affordable housing is an easy way to get into real estate. Wholesaling is an easy way to get into real estate. That's wholesaling is basically when you're buying paper. You find a house, somebody's who wants to put their house on the market, you find the buyer. You set the price, you keep the difference. You're the middleman. That's all wholesaling is. Rental arbitrage. See, I'm about to go through my whole Airbnb Academy with y'all. So I might have to make y'all buy the class on that because I'm about to go real deep in y'all with y'all on this. But I'll just share rental arbitrage is basically what I was doing today. So I had a client with me today, and we were at a very big Buckhead mansion today. And basically, I don't own this property, but my client wants to rent that property that I don't own. So I set up the contract. I connect the owner with the buyer, with the renter, and I'm the middleman. I keep my difference, and I walk away without owning the property, without paying any light bill, without paying any mortgage. This is how you get into real estate, y'all. And you can do this enough until you can buy and own your own property. So I'm doing this until I buy and own my own mansion, right? So that's the goal. So the wealthy love real estate because it creates reoccurring income while you sleep. Rent is being collected. While inflation rises, property value rises too. All right. So one thing that I love about ownership as far as a house, because y'all, if y'all know, I've owned plenty of apartments. I'm talking about I've been in apartments for 5 years. Got one, I've been in there for 7 years. I had one since 2019 to where I've spent almost 300. It's high end though. Spent almost 300,000 in that apartment where I could have owned that apartment, right? For 300,000. So you got to think about it. When you're staying in a house, even if it's renting or not, guess what you got coming in? Equity. You're building equity. And that's the secret sauce in this game. And get your credit score right, you can pull a credit line of equity. Once your equity is high enough, you can pull value from your house. And that's one of the only ways to make your house an asset is by renting it out and being able to pull pull equity from your house. Okay. So listen very carefully, y'all. Real estate gives you leverage. A property bought today can continue paying your family for decades. And that's generational thinking. And it's biblical thinking. Because remember, the goal of a good man and woman is to leave an inheritance for their seed. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. Y'all, you're listening to the King Raphael Show. We're going to take a break. And on that note, we're going to come back with how businesses can buy you freedom. Hey, have you ever been at work on a Monday morning behind your desk wondering, what am I doing with my life? Well, I wanted that same question as well. So what I did was I created a business around the lifestyle that I truly wanted. And for me, that's really about travel. So I wanted to make the beach my office, and that's exactly what I did. I can work from anywhere around the world with my customizable Airbnb business. So let me show you how to do it for yourself. So let me help you create an Airbnb business that will sustain you for the rest of your life and sustain your children, right? Let me show you how to automate your business so that it's on cruise control. Let me show you how to fly under the radar if you need. I can also teach you how to get Airbnb properties with no money down. Yes, no money down. See, many people don't think that they can get a business because they don't think that they have the funds. But you really don't need it. What's more important is the information. So join the workshop. I have a team of super hosts that will be right there that will help you start your listing the same day. Now that's powerful. All right, so we're giving out the information. So come to the workshop, click the link below, or DM me, and I can provide you all the information. Welcome back to the King Raphael Show. Man, I enjoy what I do. I'm so blessed, so thankful to be doing this with y'all, sharing the knowledge, sharing some of the things that I've gone through and experiences and things that I've learned over the years, y'all. So these things are things that I've had to learn the hard way. Didn't go to no financial literacy classes for it. Learned through life, y'all. Learn through business. Learn through not being fearful, just jumping out the window and figuring out how I'm going to land on the way down, right? I remember when I started my company, Authentic Reservations, and I started my first Airbnb. And from that, y'all, that really changed not only my life, but it changed my mindset on how I started seeing things. I started looking at how I was wasting money, right? And how I could be putting that into assets. And then when I got into stocks changed the game for me, because you know what, I was renting the whole time, renting properties, and then I started building up a considerable stock portfolio. Shout outs to my mentor on the stock game, Brother Focus, and he taught me how to get into the stocks, and man, did exceedingly well. Everything was hitting. It was like we couldn't miss. And I built up a very strong stock portfolio, and I was able to leverage my stock portfolio with my mortgage company. I showed my stock portfolio to my mortgage company and said, this is how I'm going to make my down payment. And that's how I was able to get my first home, through another asset with the stocks, right? And that's how I started, as Monopoly, 4 houses, you get a hotel. With this, I already had 4 apartments, and it was time to get the house, which the house was my hotel. So I started playing Monopoly so much, y'all. I actually named each property that I own Monopoly. So if you go on my Airbnb, you'll see a Park Place to this day. Right, that Park Place is the property in Atlantic Station. You'll see what I call my boardwalk or my New York Avenue. Right, I even had 2 cheap properties, Baltic. What was that? Baltic and Mediterranean. Those are my 2 properties by the stadium, right behind the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They literally are knocking those down right now. Right, so I played this thing like Monopoly, so much so I kept a lot of my properties together. So right there by the Mercedes-Benz Stadium had more apartments around the street or around the corner, just like a board. So I was literally, when I tell you, getting my first Airbnb changed my mindset so much. It got to the point where I was like, why am I finna buy these shoes, or why am I finna buy this when I can put it in the stock market? Right, and I can make some money, right? Or I can put it in my property and enhance it and make it make money. So those things are what buy you freedom. So what I've learned was businesses buy you freedom, because businesses are a system, and systems create freedom. The average person trades for hours. They trade their hours for dollars. But a business can operate without your constant physical presence. And that's the whole point. That is why you really want a good business. So you don't have to be there. So you can step away, right? And that's what powerful is. So let me give you a few ideas on businesses that you can just literally step away from. A vending machine. Why don't you get a vending machine and put it in a high traffic area? You never have to be there. And one of the number one things that's making a whole lot of money, but it's silent. It's one of those silent cash flows. It's not pretty, it ain't sexy, but storage units. Buy a storage unit and rent that out. The storage unit that I rent out, nobody's never there. I don't even see a janitor there, honestly. When I checked in for the first time, I did everything over the phone and they gave me all the information I needed. And I pulled up, put the information in the door, and walked in. I never saw an employee. Not saying they don't have one, but it's not many. And in most businesses, your number one expense is your what? Employees. So I'm telling y'all, there's a lot of businesses that you can get that you can literally step away from. Here's another one, a car wash. You don't have to be there. Now, you may have a couple workers. Now, the machine does the work. And speaking of machines working, let me tell you a really solid business. Laundry. Get you a wash and fold because these machines do all the work for you. Owners don't have to be there. You don't have to stand by and work on machines or change people dollars that they got dollar machines there. That's an absentee business that make a lot of money. And it doesn't matter, no matter the seasons or people having hard times, people gonna want their clothes washed. Y'all understand that? So it's a lot of things that you can do to make money. Now, one of my favorites is dividends. Dividend assets buy you freedom. So what you want to do is even pull up ChatGPT and pull up a list of dividend stocks. Pull up things to where that you know is going to be around a long time. I heard Warren Buffett say he always knew that Coke had been around a long time, and people, no matter what they're going through, I was going to buy Coca-Cola, and he bought it when it was very, very cheap. And decades later, it's worth a whole lot. So buy things that you believe in and that you believe that'll be around a long time. So dividends actually pay you to be an owner. Yes, they pay you to be an owner in the company quarterly, religiously. They always gonna pay you, and the amount that you get paid depending on how many shares that you own. So the dividends, there are investments that you can pay that can pay you constantly over time. Now imagine owning enough assets that cash continues hitting your account monthly or even quarterly, right? And that's what wealthy people mean when they say passive income. It's money they don't have to work for. Money flowing without constant labor. And that's what we want in this life, y'all. We want passive income. We don't want to have to get up in the morning and fight with this traffic and then go be under a boss who we don't like, right? And a lot of times you may even at this point know more than the boss knows, but they're still your superior because your job don't teach you no skills. What do you think your job does? It teaches you how to be a better employee. They're not gonna teach you how to be a better person. They're not gonna tell you how to get out this job, right? They're not gonna teach you about balance sheets and spreadsheets. So I always say this, which is an African proverb: the lion can never teach the gazelle how to get away. That's why they got us trapped, right? So one thing we have to understand is knowledge. Get some knowledge. Somewhere I read in the Bible, and all thy getting, get wisdom and get understanding, y'all. Get knowledge. Buy books. You can buy knowledge. Why? Because knowledge buys you freedom. Now, one of the greatest investments is education, not just school, but financial literacy. Now, years ago when I was in college, I read a statistic that really hurt my heart. So this statistic is old, but I'm gonna share it, y'all. It was saying to the 2000 U.S. Census was stating that Black Americans spent 300 like 400 some $billion in cars, 300 some $billion in clothing, and only spent 2 billion in education. That lets you know where our priorities are. This is why we must learn financial literacy. But see, school is backwards. They don't teach us financial literacy in school, right? They don't teach us. They don't teach us leadership classes in school. They don't teach us entrepreneurship in school, do they? So school, coming from a college professor, y'all, I'm not going to even trust me. If I get to talking about school, I'm gonna go all day. I'm not going to even get into school, but I really feel like school should teach you more of the things that we actually use in this real life, like credit. If our credit's bad, why? They ain't teach us in school. Where was that class at? That's what I'm talking about, y'all. So one thing that we got to learn, y'all, is we talking about our financial literacy. We have to understand how this tax system works so we can find the loophole. So we can figure out, like, why Amazon ain't paying no taxes and I'm paying all the taxes, right? We have to understand these loopholes because the wealth and this system is designed for the rich. We have to understand investing. We have to understand ownership. We have to understand credit. We have to understand business systems and cash flow. So if you study those things under financial literacy, then you'll be spot on. Because guess what? Ignorance is very expensive. Please believe it, please. The lack of financial education traps millions of people for life. And that's the whole point, because they can't have you out here all educated with financial literacy. That'll break the system that we're in, right? That'll stop the e-commerce. It'll slow it down. So that's why they don't teach these things in school. And it's up to us as parents and it's up to us as mentors to make sure we get this information out to the masses, to encourage them to learn about money and to learn how this thing works. That's why you got to get into acquisitions. So as serious investors, they've mastered this early, y'all. The habit of acquisition. Most people buy liabilities. The wealthy people buy productive assets. That's why wealthy people often look boring early on. The delayed gratification, right? The Walmart looking clothes, the same house that they've been living in for years, not upgrading, while everybody else is trying to impress strangers, trying to impress people that they don't even know, right? And most of the people don't even like them, right? You're trying to ball out in your section, right? Spending somebody else's rent money in a section for one night for a matter of hours. The other people are quietly building their empires. This is why we stay broke if we continue to buy liabilities over assets. Y'all get that? We have to change our mindset to an owner's mindset. And before we leave tonight, I want you to really, really think about this. Every lap around the Monopoly board represents another year of your life. The older you get, another year gone. Another year spent building either freedom or financing somebody else's dream. And the scary part is, most of us don't even realize that the game is happening while they're playing in it. They wake up, roll the dice, go to work, pay bills, take chances, avoid disasters, pass go, collect a check, and they repeat the cycle over and over again. Does any of this sound like you? Sound like me? I know I got out the rat race about 6 years ago when I stopped teaching, right? But year after year, lap after lap, and God never intended for us to live our life like this. The Bible has a different outlook for us, y'all. This is why I'm coming to you like this. This is why I'm telling you that your discipline matters. Your daily routine matters. Your ownership matters, because freedom is not about looking rich. Freedom is about waking up and owning your time. It's about owning your peace, owning your future, owning your decisions. And one of the greatest tragedies in life is reaching the end of the board before you realize that you spent your entire existence surviving off the building. So tonight, stop chasing appearances. Stop chasing temporary validation. Stop spending every year of your life just trying to survive another lap around the board. And what we need to start doing is start helping each other acquire things. Let's come together as a community, which is common unity, and acquire things such as knowledge. Let's acquire assets. Let's acquire stocks. Let's acquire buildings. Let's acquire lands. Let's acquire business. Let's acquire systems that buys our freedom. Because remember, God never intended for you to remain a slave. He wants you to survive. He intended for you to multiply in this life. So always remember that in Monopoly of life, the goal was to never just stay in the game. The goal was to own the board. That's my word, y'all. You're listening to the King Raphael Show. Remember to keep your faith higher than your fear and your purpose stronger than your pain. And remember, leave no room for the devil because he doesn't belong there. Until next time we elevate together, I'm King Raphael. So stay blessed and stay smooth. Hi, I'm Professor G, the Airbnb King. When I first started my Airbnb business in 2019, I made a lot of mistakes. I really needed a mentor, but one mistake I didn't make was giving up. And since I didn't give up, 18 months later, I cleared my first six-figure income, which allowed me to quit my lucrative job as being a college professor at Spelman College and do this full time, and I never looked back. Since then, I've acquired properties in Atlanta, such as downtown, Midtown, Buckhead, even moved over to the West End, became the Airbnb King, got more confidence, started buying properties in Miami. Ever since then, I knew skies was the limit and Monopoly was the game for me. So believe in yourself. You will and you can win at this game. Book with the Airbnb King. We're gonna make some silent moves, but loud results.